Hey Highland Production volunteers, Lyle here. So this video today is going to be about how to add light key actions to your ProPresenter presentation. So this is kind of the follow-up to the previous video I made on how to build your Sunday morning ProPresenter playlist using the Planning Center integration tool. So if you haven't watched that video, please go back and make sure you watch that so that way you're informed and you know where you're picking up at as you start this video. So we're going to go through our ProPresenter playlist and we're going to add macros for light key so we can control a light key presentation and cue list and adjust the light settings here for the stage. So let's go into the software on the Mac here in the production booth and let's get started. So when you look here, you're going to see that we have a presentation built out and all set to go. We already have our macros. We already have everything set up and good to go. All we need to do now is just add light key macros. So let's open up light key here on the toolbar. And then you're going to see this pop up. You're going to see different projects to choose from. Go ahead and select this one here that says Highland Worship Center Lighting. And then I'm just going to minimize the screen here so I can swap back and forth between ProPresenter and light key. So right here we have the cue list for this weekend. For the sake of this video, I'm going to make a different one, but you should see the Sunday services cue list pop up right here in light key first off. So let's go here. We're going to hit the live drop down button and manage live pages. And then I'm going to hit the plus here and I'm going to do a cue list. And then I'm just going to label this tutorial video. And then I'm going to hit done. So now we have a blank cue list that we can work with. Over here on this left side of light key, you can see that I've got a ton of different presets for lighting. And I've got a bunch built out here under this Sunday service preset folder. And then I've also got a bunch more beneath that are just song colors. So you can see here that I've got some for a purple white preset and just different ones there. And then you can see here that I've got a purple amber gold preset. And then I've got one for blue amber. And then I've got another one for teal and just white. And then I got another one for seafoam kind of green. And you can kind of see where I'm going here. So we're going to build out a cue list for the whole morning here. So let's start by going back to ProPresenter and seeing what we have first. First, we have the pre-service announcement loop. So let's go here and just kind of pull in the walk-in cue that I have for Sunday morning. So we'll just go here in the Sunday service preset folder and then click and drag the walk-in cue into our cue list. Then what you can do is go back to ProPresenter and then under the Sunday service macros, if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see two different cues for light key. You're going to see one that says Start Light Cue List and then one that says Next Light Cue. For the first cue, you're going to want the Start Light Cue List and you're going to want to drag that onto the pre-service announcement loop presentation for 9 o'clock. And then you're going to want to do it again for the 10:30 service as well. So that way, anytime that we hit this presentation, it is automatically going to tell light key to go back to the top of the cue list and then start again. All right, so let's go into the next item here. The next light cue that we would have would be for the welcome and announcements. So when the host gets up on stage. So we're going to go here and we're going to click and drag. Let's just do this first one and then drag it into the cue list. Then we are going to go into the welcome and announcements presentation on ProPresenter. And then you're going to click on the next light cue macro right here and drag it onto the first slide of the welcome presentation. Now, watch what happens here in light key. When I click on the welcome presentation, you're going to see that this little blue marker in light key moved from the walk-in cue to the welcome and announcement cue. What's happening is that ProPresenter is sending a MIDI signal to light key that tells it to move up in the cue list. So that's how that works. So basically what we're going to do here now is we're going to go through the rest of our presentation in ProPresenter and we're going to add a light cue in light key, and then we're going to add a macro in ProPresenter to trigger that light preset. So in Sunday service presets on light key, you can see that I've got one for pretty much every element of the service. I've got a video preset, so that way you can darken the stage and the house if you wish. Otherwise, you can just go right into the first worship song. So we've got different presets for some songs, so you can just click and drag those in here if you want. Otherwise, we have different color presets. So let's just start by dragging this song 1 preset first into the cue list. Then I'm going to double click it. And let's see, the first song that we have today is House of the Lord. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to rename this cue by right clicking on it and then hitting rename. And then I'm going to type in House of the Lord. And then I'm going to go back to ProPresenter. And then I'm going to click and drag this next light cue onto the first slide of my song. So that way, when we advance from the welcome presentation and click on the first slide of the worship song, light key will automatically advance into the preset for House of the Lord. Let's go into the next song, All Sufficient Merit. So you can kind of see here the motion media background is kind of a more blue and amber. So I'm going to pick a blue and amber light cue preset. So I'm going to scroll down into the worship presets category and I'm going to look for my blue amber presets, which are right here. And then I'm going to choose this worship preset that says song, verse, all vocals. And basically this preset has enough color saturation from the top lights coming down, and it also has some spotlight coming on to shine on all the vocalists that will be in the front of the stage. So I'm going to click and drag that here. And then I'm going to rename it to say All Sufficient Merit. And then I'm going to go here back to ProPresenter, and then we're going to drag the next light cue onto the first slide of All Sufficient Merit. And then when we click on it, it will automatically advance to the next song in light key. So now that we've done All Sufficient Merit, let's go back to ProPresenter and check what the next song is. It's Oh Praise the Name. So this one looks like it's a bit more orange on the motion graphic. So I'm going to look for a more amber orange preset. So if I scroll all the way down here, I got an amber white preset category. So I'm just going to drag this verse all vocal preset onto the cue list. And then I'm going to rename it to Oh Praise the Name. And then I am going to go back here to ProPresenter, drag the next light cue macro onto Oh Praise the Name. And then if I click it, it automatically advances ProPresenter and light key into the next segment. For the sermon deck, we're going to drag the Sunday sermon light cue from the Sunday service preset folder. So if you just go back up here and then drag the sermon over here into the cue list, and you're good to go. Now, say for example that Pastor Dale or whoever's preaching has a different color for their graphic that they want to use on the stage. So if you want, you can go here into the Sunday service preset list on light key, go to the sermon cue, click it, and you can hit this edit button right here. Then you can select which fixtures you want to change. So usually you're going to be changing the tops if you want to do color. Spotlights stay pretty much the same. Then you can go down to this color wheel right here, and you can change the color. So let's try something maybe a little bit more blue. And then when you're ready, you can hit update, and then you're good to go. And then if you go back to the cue list, you will see that the changes will populate wherever that cue is placed on whichever cue list you have. So that's changed. But I'm going to go back and change it to orange. So again, you just go back to the sermon cue in the cue list, hit edit, select which fixtures you want to change. And then I'm going to adjust this cue back to more of an orange, amber kind of a set. And then I'm going to hit update, and that'll update my cue across the board. So let's go back into ProPresenter now and see what we've got next. We still have to add the macro here for the light key preset. So I'm going to drag the next light cue, and that way we're good to go there. And then let's go into the closing transition. Sometimes I'll have a light cue trigger for this, sometimes I won't. Today I'm actually going to get rid of this because I don't need it here. And then let's go into Greater You Lord. Now, here's one thing I want to note. Let's say, for example, in ProPresenter that you're going to do the intro twice. Now, watch what happens if I create a cue for this last song. I'm going to go with something more orange. So we'll do the amber white preset. We'll set this up for Greater You Lord. And if I go back to ProPresenter here and add this next light cue to the first slide of Greater You Lord, notice here that I have a second slide, and I also have another macro to advance the light key cue. Now, watch what happens if I click it twice. It's gonna lose track in light key of where I'm at. So, in the event you have two intros with two light key macros on both slides, go back into light key, and then just duplicate your preset twice in the cue list by right-clicking on the cue you want to duplicate, and then hit duplicate, and then you're all set. Then we're going to go to the walkout light trigger. And the reason that we have a separate trigger for the walkout presentation is because this presentation, when you click on it, is going to rotate every 5 seconds. And then when it gets to the bottom of this presentation, it is going to advance back, and if there's a macro here, it will select it again. We don't want that to happen, so we just have this light trigger slide right here that we'll hit once Dale says you are loved, and then that is going to advance in the cue list. And then the operator can go ahead and hit this walkout presentation slide, and it will automatically advance without changing any cues. So let's make sure that we have everything set up here. We are still missing the walkout presentation cue. So I'm going to go up here into the Sunday service preset list in light key, and I'm going to hit walkout, click and drag, and then I am all set and good to go. Now, one last thing to do. We're going to go through everything in ProPresenter. We're going to click through the first slide of every presentation and make sure that if there's a light key cue, we're going to make sure that there is a macro to trigger it here in ProPresenter, and just make sure that everything's lined up. So let's start at the top here. We're going to start with the pre-service announcement loop, and that should trigger the cue, which it did. That's good. That's going to restart the cue list. Let's go ahead into the Sunday bumper video. We don't have a light cue for this one on purpose because we still want it to be on the walk-in light cue, so that's good. Let's advance to the welcome presentation. Okay, that's good. We advanced in the cue list. That is good there. Let's go into the first song of the worship set. We've got House of the Lord, so we're going to click on that. Looks like we advanced properly. That's good. Let's go into All Sufficient Merit. That advanced to the next cue in the list. That's good. Let's go into Oh Praise the Name. Click it. All right, we advanced. That's good. Let's go to the sermon slide. Lights advance. That's good. Let's go here to Greater You Lord. We got our first trigger. That's good. Click on the intro again, and we've got another cue for that. That's good. And then let's go to walkout. Click on it. We're advanced to the final cue in the list. That's good. Let's go back up to the top again and hit the 10:30 presentation. And then we're back at the top of the cue list again where we should be. All right. We are good to go. So that is how you build a cue list in light key. Now, you could build out and make this more advanced in the songs and have different lights for different sections of each song, but I would recommend just starting out simply and just doing one cue for every single presentation in your library. It's easier to keep track, and it's easier for you to keep going throughout the service and just get this all put together really quickly. And in the event that you don't have time to build out a cue list in light key, you can just go over here into AMX, and you can choose from one of these scenes right here. So I'm just going to choose scene 7, and then I'm going to go back here, and then you can see on the stage that we just have a regular cue list all set up and built. But if you want to go back to light key, just hit manual here on the AMX, and then you're good to go. So that is how to use light key on a Sunday morning for a worship service. I hope that's helpful. And if you have any questions, reach out to the worship director. It's always good to check in with whoever's leading worship to see what kind of colors would work best on a Sunday morning. Say you're doing a high energy song like Great Things or House of the Lord. Those songs are high energy and really focus on worshiping the Lord and praise and adoration. So think of lights like purple and gold and amber or red. They often symbolize passion and energy and excitement. Or think of maybe a song that is more mellowed out, like the hymn Come Thou Fount. It's very more soft of a song, dynamically speaking, and it's a little bit low energy. So maybe a light cue that has more blue or amber. It's more calm and more relaxing, and all these things, when you think about it, help guide people's emotions as you're worshiping. So it's always good to check in with your worship director who's leading that week and just see, hey, what kind of colors would you like for this morning? And just kind of work together to build that cue list out together. Also, make sure that your motion graphics are matching with your lights. And you can build that ahead of time and just check to see which motion graphics will match best with your lights, and just really tie that all together. And being intentional with having good lights and motion graphics that match really go far in helping the people worship and just setting an environment that is cohesive and leading people to worship the Lord. So hope that helps, and I wish you the best. You got this.